I try to stand firm, but the truth hits me. I need money, and I need it now. Waiting for $1 million dream feels foolish, something that will never happen. The world seems to be closing in on me. Hello, this is Gordon. I meet Janet at a cafe downtown, both of us attending some obscure networking event for startups. She's lively, bursting with ideas that spill out like marbles from a jar. But beneath that energy, I sense the exhaustion from constant setbacks. She's chasing something monumental, but hasn't quite caught it yet. Her ideas are ambitious, raw, and all over the place. She talks about changing entire industries, yet struggles to explain how. Still, there's something magnetic about her. A fierce determination that makes you believe she could succeed with the right opportunity. That's how our casual coffee turns into late dinners. And before long, we're dating. I'm no stranger to the hustle. Early investments in a few startups have paid off, leaving me with a comfortable fortune. Janet's drive reminds me of the younger, hungrier version of myself. She admires my success, and I admire her resilience, though I can't ignore the fact that she lacks a clear plan. She has the vision, but no roadmap. One night, while brainstorming over takeout, she sketches out an app idea. Her excitement is infectious, and she talks about revolutionizing the industry, leveling the playing field, and empowering small businesses. I see potential, not just in the idea, but in her. What's holding you back? I ask. She laughs bitterly. Money, connections, everything. I lean back, considering the idea. What if I invest seed funding to get you started? No strings attached. Her eyes widen in surprise, and for a brief moment, she seems uncertain, vulnerable. Are you serious? She asks. Serious as you are about this, I reply. Let's make it happen. The next few weeks pass in a blur of activity. I help her establish the business, guiding her through the maze of paperwork. To her, it's all overwhelming. To me, it's second nature. She insists on taking the reins, and I step back, letting her lead. You're the CEO, I remind her. I'm here if you need me. Her passion is electric. She throws herself into the work, pulling late nights, sketching wireframes, and assembling her team. The app takes shape, sleek, intuitive, and exactly what the market needs. I watch from the sidelines, stepping in only when necessary. It's her vision, her project, and then it gains traction. The response is almost immediate. Early adopters rave about its simplicity and usefulness. Media outlets start covering the story, and suddenly Janet is giving interviews and posing for photos. Partnerships come in, investors start circling, and the user base grows exponentially. She soaks it all in, the praise, the attention, the feeling of finally having made it. Her confidence rises with every success. At dinner parties, friends rave about her accomplishments, calling her a self-made entrepreneur. She doesn't correct them. If anything, she embraces it, basking in their admiration. I don't mind, this is her moment. But as the company expands, so does her narrative. My role fades into the background, and I become the guy who believed in her when no one else did. It stings a little, how she downplays the countless hours I spent laying the groundwork so she could focus on the vision. But still, I stay silent. She's earned her pride. The app becomes a powerhouse, growing faster than we ever imagined. Janet is a force to be reckoned with, commanding rooms, sealing deals, and expanding her influence. Watching her, I feel proud, though I can't help but notice the subtle shifts. She speaks about the app as if it's solely her creation, as though my support was incidental. Her confidence is now tinged with cockiness, fueled by friends and influencers who hail her as an icon. "Can you believe it?" she says one night, scrolling through an article calling her the industry's rising star. All of this from a little idea in a notebook. "Incredible," I reply, genuinely meaning it. But I wonder if she remembers where it all began and who helped it take off. "Hey, it's Janet. Success has a funny way of changing things. It creeps up, milestone by milestone, until one day you wake up and realize you're not the same person who started this journey. I used to rely on Gordon a lot, trusting his experience and instincts. He was my rock when I struggled with failed ideas and doubt. But things are different now. I've built something real, something that works. The company is thriving, and with each passing month, I find myself thinking less about where I started and more about where I'm going. Lately, I've been meeting people I never imagined I'd meet. Investors, founders, people who have scaled businesses far beyond what I thought possible. They talk about growth, about potential, about what it takes to break through to the next level. And as I sit in these conversations, I can't help but wonder if I'm holding myself back by clinging to the past. It's not that Gordon hasn't been supportive. He has, in his own way. But the more I move forward, the more I feel his role in my life is changing. He's comfortable, content, while I'm hungry for more. I start to wonder if we're still aligned. I begin to think about the future differently, exploring possibilities I wouldn't have considered before. What if I took full control of the company? What if I surrounded myself with people as ambitious as I am? Gordon's been with me since the start, sure. But at some point, shouldn't I stand on my own? I don't think it's selfish. It's natural evolution. Growth. I've put in the work, the long nights, the tough decisions. I'm the face of this company, the one people see in interviews, the one shaping its future. It makes sense that I take full control. I don't plan anything drastic right away. These thoughts start small, little ideas I toy with in quiet moments. But soon, they solidify. I begin testing the waters, making executive calls without asking Gordon for input, skipping our usual "what do you think?" conversations. He doesn't complain. In fact, I think he enjoys stepping back a bit. It's better for both of us. As the business grows, so do my responsibilities. And naturally, I spend more time with people who offer fresh perspectives. Not that Gordon's insights aren't valuable. They are. But they come from a different time. Things move quickly now, and I need to adapt. Surrounding myself with forward-thinking people is a smart move. I start to wonder if Gordon sees the change, the distance between us, the way I handle things differently now. I try to gently ease him out of the loop, not in any harsh way, but more as a transition to a more independent role. He's busy with his own projects anyway. Still, the thought of making it official lingers. Maybe it's time to have a serious conversation about where this is heading. I could propose a buyout. Something fair, something clean. He's practical, and deep down, I think, he always knew this day would come. But relationships are tricky, and the last thing I want is drama, so I tread carefully, avoiding direct confrontation for now. Instead, I focus on the future. Expanding the company, forging new deals, positioning myself for what's next. I begin skipping our usual weekend brainstorming sessions, filling my schedule with strategy meetings and networking events instead. It's not personal. I'm simply growing. I rehearse in my mind how I'll bring it up. An easy conversation where I express how much I appreciate everything he's done, how grateful I am. But that I need to take full control to push the company further. He'll understand. He has to. If he doesn't, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. One night, while reviewing financial reports and drafting emails to potential investors, I realize I've already made my decision. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I glance at my phone, hesitating before replying to one of Gordon's texts. He's asking about dinner plans. I quickly type out an excuse about work and hit send. Tomorrow, I'll talk to him. Tomorrow. Tonight, I focus on what lies ahead. She didn't see it coming. Of course she didn't. Janet had always been a bit blind to the bigger picture, too focused on her vision. But that's what happens when you let someone else handle the details while you chase the spotlight. She was ready to end it, I could tell. The small changes in how she spoke to me, how she'd been phasing me out of the company's decisions, it all pointed in one direction. But I wasn't going to let it slide this time. Not after everything I'd built. When she came to me that evening, ready to make her move, I was prepared too. She was calm at first, all business, talking about how we needed to redefine our roles moving forward. But I could hear the unspoken words. I don't need you anymore. I didn't react. I wasn't about to lose my cool. I knew better than to get emotionally involved in business decisions. And this was business. Cold, hard business. I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out the official company documents. The ones she hadn't read closely. The ones that made it clear that, despite all her talk of ownership and control, she didn't have the leverage she thought she did. I slid them across the table to her. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at them, not quite understanding at first. I let her read, then said calmly, "Check out the ownership structure. Doksan used the mine. 10% yours." She didn't speak at first, just stared at the paper. When she looked up at me, there was a flicker of realization in her eyes, followed quickly by a flash of anger. "There's also a 10-year lock-in period on your shares," I added. "So you can't just sell them off or leave without both of us agreeing to it." I leaned back, watching her face. Business and personal relationships are separate. I'd been burned before, learned that the hard way. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She looked back down at the papers, flipping through the fine print as though searching for some loophole that didn't exist. She didn't get it yet, but she would. "You're just the CEO, Janet," I said, watching her struggle to process it all. "I own it, and I let you run it. That's what you've been missing. It wasn't about control, not really. It was about the fact that you never understood the business side of it, the structure, the reality. You thought your vision would carry you, but vision doesn't hold up when you've signed your name on the dotted line for real decisions." Her voice trembled slightly when she finally spoke, her facade cracking. "You can't do this. I built this. You wouldn't even be where you are without me." I didn't flinch. "You built it with my money, my resources, and my connections. Don't forget that." I wasn't going to argue. She'd never listened anyway, especially when her pride got in the way. My ego was on the line, so I took the first step. I said, watching her face flush with frustration, "I'm removing you, Janet." The glare she gave me could have burned a hole through the table. She opened her mouth to protest, but I raised my hand. "I'm hiring an experienced executive team. You're no longer in charge. Her voice rose as she tried to regain control, but her words faltered. You can't do this. I'm the face of the company. You need me. I calmly replied, No, Janet. You were the face, but now the company's mine. It's time to bring in people who can actually grow it. I wasn't backing down and wasn't about to apologize for where I stood. One I'd earned, one I'd built from the ground up. By the time I informed her team, the news spread fast. Janet's influence dwindled quickly, and my new leadership team stepped in without missing a beat, running the company with a focus on long-term growth rather than short-term buzz. It wasn't a smooth transition, but it was necessary. When the industry whispers began, I couldn't deny a small sense of satisfaction in seeing the shift. But that was just business. The real consequences hit the next morning. Time to move out, I told her without giving her a chance to speak. She stood frozen at the door, her eyes wide, probably still hoping I'd change my mind. She didn't know me as well as she thought. You have 24 hours, she stammered, her words tripping over one another as her hands shook. You can't be serious, she said. I am serious, I said firmly. There's nothing more to say. It's over, business and personal. There's no going back. I watched her, letting the realization sink in. Her eyes softened for a moment, hurt, confused, but she quickly replaced it with a defiant stare. She pleaded with me, tried to convince me it was all a misunderstanding, that she was under pressure, and maybe we could work something out. I wasn't moved. No, I said simply, turning away. You had your chance, and you blew it. There was no negotiation, no going back. I didn't regret it. Business and personal don't mix well when you've been burned before. She'd figure it out, but for me, it was done. It wasn't supposed to end this way. I thought I had it all figured out. Janet, the rising star, ready to conquer the world. I was the visionary, the face of the next big thing. Sure, Gordon had helped, but I always believed I could do it on my own. I just needed the right moment to break free, to take control, to show the world that I wasn't just some lucky sidekick. But now, the reality was different. It weighed on me like a heavy burden. The silence around me felt deafening. I could almost hear the echoes of people I once thought were my friends and allies. But now, they were nowhere to be found. It happened quickly. At first, it was just a trickle. Industry contacts here and there stopped returning my calls, stopped taking my meetings. Then the media turned. What was once the story of a self-made entrepreneur quickly became the narrative of an opportunist who got lucky, but couldn't handle success when it arrived. The press turned on me, their words sharp and unforgiving. It stung, of course. But what hurt more was the realization of how far I'd fallen. I thought I was immune to this kind of thing, but I wasn't. Without Gordon's support, without his money, without his resources, I had nothing. The company was his, not mine. Not really. Sure, I had 10%, but that was hardly anything now. I couldn't sell it, couldn't leverage it. In my hands, it was practically worthless. I was stuck with my pride, and stuck with the painful realization that maybe I wasn't as brilliant as I thought. That's the real kicker, isn't it? I can't work for anyone else. I'm too proud, too self-absorbed. Maybe I can't bear the thought of starting over, being seen as just another failed entrepreneur. But my bank balance tells a different story, and it's not a good one. All those interviews, all those magazine covers, they feel so far away now. The money's running out. I've made some bad investments and spent too much on trying to maintain my image. Now I'm scrambling, desperate. I have no choice but to face the inevitable. It's time to make the call. I reach out to Gordon. I need him. I need something. So I approach him, putting aside my pride and my anger. I try to sound reasonable, offering a truce, hoping, praying that we can put the past behind us. He doesn't hesitate. No, he says coldly. It's done. I should have expected it. After all, this is the same man who removed me from the CEO position without blinking. He's unshakable when he wants to be, but desperation makes you do things you wouldn't normally consider. That's when I ask the question I never thought I'd have to ask. What about my stake? What if I sell it to you? I can see him calculating, his face unmoving, passive, just as it always is when he makes a decision that doesn't involve emotion. His answer comes quickly, without emotion. I'll buy it, he says, for $100,000. I laugh, but it's not a genuine laugh. It's bitter, dry, like I'm choking on the words. $100,000? You're joking, right? This stake is worth at least $10 million. He doesn't flinch. You can wait 8 more years, Janet. That's how long the lock-in period is, or you can take what I'm offering now. The choice is yours. I feel my insides twist with frustration. I want to argue, to demand more, to fight. But what's the point? What am I really going to do? I can't sell it to anyone else. I have no power here. I try to negotiate. At least give me $1 million. Just $1 million, Gordon. This isn't fair. But he doesn't budge. He's as solid as stone. $1 million, or you keep waiting, he repeats. The words hit me harder than anything else. The truth. I'm stuck. He knows it. I know it. I'm cornered. I try to stand my ground, but the reality sets in. I need money. I need it now. I can't wait for the $1 million. It's a fantasy that will never come true. The world feels like it's closing in on me. Final offer, he says. $150,000. Take it or leave it. I'm desperate now. Beggars can't be choosers. Fine, I say. Deal. And just like that, it's over. I walk away from the table with barely anything in my pocket. No company, no power, no respect. I thought I'd be in control, but I let my pride get in the way of everything. Now, I have nothing left but the bitter taste of failure. I wonder if I'll ever truly learn from this. But that doesn't matter anymore. The damage is done. Gordon moves on. The company grows. And I'm left behind, scrambling to rebuild. Maybe it's what I deserve.